Hello everyone, my name is Jānis, and in this video I will be talking about two responsibility traps in relationships that hurt not only us but also other people involved as well. What are these two responsibility traps? The first one is taking responsibility for others when we should not. And when we do that, that leads to people pleasing. We start to please people more and more. And when we do that, that puts us in a lower position in comparison to the other person that we please. It's like a subordination. Our own life becomes secondary, and people that we please, their lives become almost like primary to us. And when that happens, we have less attention, less energy, less time, less space, less resources for ourselves, for our own things, for our own projects that we would like to do, but we just simply don't have enough energy to do it. And when people please others or take responsibility for others when the situation does not require that, it usually happens out of self-limiting beliefs, or you could say patterns. And one example is a pattern of low self-worth. There are a lot of people out there that try to please others as a way of compensation for their low self-worth, their low self-esteem, and they want to be perceived and seen as a higher value humans externally, even though internally they have their own complexes, they have their own self-limiting thoughts and beliefs about themselves. That's one example. How usually people take responsibility for others out of limiting negative patterns. And when people take action out of these patterns, they no longer can express themselves authentically because they follow the pattern, and the pattern is not expression of authenticity. Pattern basically suppresses your own true self, your own true being, who you really are. Pattern suppresses your own natural creative impulses that want to express through you. And while people take responsibility for others in contexts and situations when they shouldn't, they can find, of course, multiple excuses to do that, or why it should be okay to do that. Such excuses as it's polite, it's politically correct, others do it, others did it. For example, parents did it. it's socially accepted norm in society, or for some reason a person feels that he's obligated to give some sort of moral compensation as a way of taking responsibility for others when it's not required. So excuses can be found. How many of us have done things in our lives when we did not want to do them, but we did them anyways because we didn't want to hurt others? How many of us have not told the truth out of fear of triggering some negative reactions from other people and persons involved? Yes. Taking responsibility for other people's emotions and feelings signal that, first of all, it's a manipulation, of course, and it's selfish, because when people do that, they want to get out a certain reaction from the other person involved. So they, for example, avoid a conflict, certain conflict, and that's why they please the other person. So first of all, it's manipulation. Other thing, when someone takes responsibility for other people, for others' emotions and feelings, that also signals that in a way he considers people who he takes responsibility for as not ready to experience a potentially unpleasant and uncomfortable situation or a feeling as well. And the one who takes responsibility for others' emotions and feelings, he plays along to protect others from disappointment, and maybe even from trauma in his own mind. And that is called pampering, literally, like small children. Question is, when we potentially perceive others as someone that we want to protect from disappointment, are we really dealing with people who are immature? Are they really not ready? And if the answer to your mind is yes, they are immature, yes, they are not ready, then another thing to be aware is that if we keep protecting them, aren't we also robbing them from opportunities and chances to grow up, to mature through these difficult, through these tough, through these uncomfortable, unpleasant situations? And how long, how healthy is it for us to keep doing this? Of course, there are different kinds of situations and contexts, and we individually make a decision based on that, whether it is okay to keep playing along for a certain period of time, or it's time really to stop doing that. So what about children? That's an obvious question. And the answer is this. We, as adults, as parents, or as parental figures, we try to be as conscious as we can in raising our children. And that is a great responsibility to have. We don't have a lot of duties, but we have some basic ones, such as, of course, feeding them and keeping them safe. And another one is to allow them be themselves as much as possible without projecting our own childhood traumas, our own negative patterns and limiting beliefs upon our children. At the same time, we have to remember that there is no need to raise our children like small tyrants or spoil them. There is a place for them to learn life lessons, including boundaries as well. And we strive for balance, best possible balance that we can achieve. And our actions should be coming from our heart, not from our ego. And sometimes when we look at the parents, they raise their children from their ego, because ego likes to be liked, ego likes to be glorified, ego likes to please others in order to gain something back. Ego likes to look good and show off in the eyes of others. But sometimes, not sometimes, but in long term, that can, of course, harm the child tremendously. And there are times and situations when not pleasing the child, that is against the ego, but, for example, the heart, your heart's way, might seem externally as a harsh action towards the child, but in the long term it will benefit him greatly. So listening to your own heart, your own intuition, and being as present as possible with your child is the best thing to do. What about women? Taking responsibility for women. In relationships between two adult people, energetic dynamic is best when relationship and certain aspects of life are arranged in the right way. And I'm talking about relationship between man and a woman. And one of the aspects that should be taken into account is that a man is material provider for his family, and of course takes care and protects his children and his, if you can say his, woman as well, of course. That does not mean that woman stays subordinated, submissive, woman still is independent, but in a different way. She doesn't need to earn money to look strong or something other that is similar to the masculine traits, to the masculine energy. Woman needs to express herself in a feminine way, more in a feminine way. That is more natural to her, and that sometimes might be suppressed, and that needs to be healed. And while man is taking responsibility for financial affairs and taking responsibility for his female partner, he is activating his bigger potential. And in this energy dynamics, the energy can spin, energetic spiral can spin to its greatest effect when man is the doer and woman is more expressing herself out of being. And man lets his woman be herself also. And this is the way how he can achieve more. So this is dynamics between man and woman, ideally, of course. And now I want to talk about second trap. We have covered up to this point the first trap, that was taking responsibility for others when it was not needed and could actually harm. Now let's talk a little bit more about second trap, that is avoiding responsibility and pushing it away like it's something bad, unwanted, and basically giving it away to someone else. When this happens, obviously a victim mode is turned on. And in short terms, it might look easier to do this, but in long term it always causes huge suffering. And when we refuse or avoid from our own responsibility, we kind of give away our keys. And these keys are our own power, our own potential, and we refuse them. We say, no, 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 I don't want those. We become at mercy of others. Sometimes we may act as weak, as incapable, to avoid certain consequences of certain situations. Sometimes we hope that others will come and do the things for us to save us. And when we push away our own responsibilities, we choose not to invest more our own energy resources to create a better life. Because internally there is some kind of perception that investing more is too high of a price for us, and we are comfortable the way we are. And yeah, we are comfortable the way we are, even though time and time again life has proven in many people cases that better life hides behind uneasy choice doors. And we have to basically make a decision. On one side there is a decision that's stated: easy choices lead to hard life. On the other side there is one that's stated: hard choices lead to easy life. Which one are you going to choose? And if people decide to go with easy choices that leads to hard life, that also happens out of childhood traumas, out of negative patterns, as in the case of the first trap of overly taking responsibility for someone else. And when we decide to give away our own responsibility out of some kind of inner patterns, we energetically have put upon ourselves a type of cover of ignorance, and this cover limits our abilities. It limits us to receive information from our spiritual guides, from universe, from the source. It limits us to function on a greater power and scale, and it also gives us a chance for an excuse. I know, because I had one before. Cover of ignorance. And there's this also famous saying that with great power comes great responsibility. That is true. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it valuable. If you like the content of this channel, please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next videos.